Before the first word, humanity lived in complete silence. They could see danger, but they couldn't describe it. Every misunderstanding could become a matter of life or death. Hands worked until distance made them useless. A hunt could fail because one message arrived too late. Nature had already solved this problem. Humans could hear those sounds, but they couldn't create their own. Then, one tiny sound changed everything. At first, these sounds meant nothing. Then someone copied the sound. For the first time, one sound carried one meaning. Human language had taken its very first step. The strange little sound returned, and this time everyone remembered it. For the very first time, a sound could call someone's attention. Soon, curiosity became impossible to resist. Without realizing it, they were giving a sound its very first meaning. The next morning, the experiment continued. A sound that once meant nothing was slowly becoming a memory everyone shared. But one sound was not enough. Humans needed more. The first word opened the door, but an entire language waited beyond it. One sound became two, and two sounds became a new way to think. Now humans could share more than objects. They could share ideas. With every new sound, the tribe remembered more. The youngest minds learned the fastest. Language was no longer only about survival. It was becoming knowledge. The more they shared, the stronger the entire tribe became. A warning shared early could save an entire family. The tribe was learning a powerful lesson. Ideas could travel. A sound could now carry a memory. Even after the moment was gone, humans were no longer just reacting, they were preparing. The hunt was changing because humans could finally plan together. A successful hunt required more than strength. It required understanding. The oldest knowledge could finally reach the youngest minds. A child no longer had to discover the world alone. The tribe was creating something completely new, culture. But the biggest challenge was still ahead, expressing the invisible. Humans had named the world around them. Now they wanted to understand it. A simple sound became a bridge between minds. The first words were small, but their consequences were enormous. But the first words were only the beginning. The real revolution was still coming. The next challenge was not surviving today. It was remembering tomorrow. A human mind could finally travel beyond one lifetime. The first language was not built in a day. It grew one connection at a time. Every generation added something new to the human story. Soon, humans would use language for something even greater: imagination. A story was different from a memory because it could create something that never happened. Language had escaped the present and entered the world of possibilities. The same ability that helped humans survive would one day build civilizations. The human voice was no longer just a sound. It had become a tool. A single sound became millions of voices waiting to be born. But humans were not the only creatures with a way to communicate. Animals could send messages, but humans began creating ideas. The greatest advantage was not stronger bodies. It was shared thoughts. The more humans shared, the faster they learned. Once knowledge could be shared, humans could improve instead of starting over. The human mind was becoming a library of shared experiences, but language was still young, and humans were only beginning to discover its power. The first conversations were small, but the future they created was endless. Humans had learned to speak, but the next challenge was making everyone understand. A language was not created by one person, it was created by everyone. With every new word, the human world became bigger. The world was the same, but humans were finally seeing it differently. The first storytellers were not recording history, they were creating it. Once humans could share stories, they could share dreams. Language had started as survival, but it was becoming something much greater. A memory could now survive, even after the person who created it was gone. The first words were small, but the ideas behind them were enormous. Human imagination had finally found a voice. The same sounds that helped humans survive would eventually help them build civilizations. Humans were no longer just reacting to the world. They were planning their future. A warning could save one life, but an idea could change thousands. The human voice had become humanity's greatest survival tool. But the story of language was only beginning. Every journey became easier when minds could travel together. The first words created the first connections between generations. The ability to share ideas changed the path of our species forever. But humans were still searching for new ways to express what was inside their minds. A sound could disappear, but an idea could survive forever. The first language was not perfect, but it was enough to change everything. From silence came the greatest invention of the human mind. But once humans learned to share ideas, they began asking bigger questions. Language did not only describe the world, it allowed humans to imagine worlds that did not exist yet. The greatest power of language was not the words themselves, but the thoughts they carried. A single human could think, but many humans could create. The first words were tiny, but they opened the door to everything that came after. But the journey of language was far from over. It was only entering its next chapter. When groups connected, knowledge traveled faster than ever before. Humans were no longer limited by what one person could remember. The human mind had discovered a new way to travel through time. The first voice of humanity had become the voice of countless generations. But humans were not only learning to speak, they were learning to think together. A tribe that communicated better had a better chance of surviving. Communication turned fear into cooperation. The human brain had found a powerful new ability, sharing invisible thoughts. From simple sounds, humans created a world of shared meaning. But the more humans communicated, the more they discovered about each other. Every new conversation created a bridge between two minds. The first languages were small, but human curiosity was limitless. A child learning a word was the beginning of humanity teaching itself. The first teachers of humanity were not in schools. They were families, tribes, and communities. But language did more than teach survival. It created culture. A story remembered by one person could now belong to everyone. The past could finally survive beyond the lifetime of one human. Once humans could preserve ideas, progress became possible. Language had transformed humans from survivors into creators. But the human story was about to become much bigger than one tribe. The ability to share plans changed how humans moved through the world. Humans could now prepare for tomorrow, not just survive today. A sound became a symbol, and a symbol became an idea. The first languages were born from a simple human need, understanding each other. Once humans could share ideas, their imagination had no limits. Ideas could now travel farther than any human could walk. The human voice became a tool sharper than stone, but the greatest stories were the ones humans told about themselves. Every word carried a piece of human history. Language had changed the way humans saw the world and themselves. A thought inside one mind could now become a discovery for many. The tribe was becoming more than a group of individuals. It was becoming a community. And from cooperation came something even more powerful, imagination shared by many. The first words had created the first worlds inside the human mind. But language was not finished evolving. It was only beginning. More words meant more possibilities. Humans could finally teach what they had learned. A human child was no longer born into silence. The first voices became the foundation of everything that followed. But humans were about to discover something even more powerful than words: symbols. A sound disappeared when spoken, but a symbol could remain forever. The human mind had found a way to leave messages through time. Communication was no longer limited by distance or even time. From a single sound, humanity created a universe of meaning. The first symbols were small, but their impact would become enormous. Humans were no longer only remembering, they were recording. Knowledge could now survive even after the person who discovered it was gone. Every generation could now stand on the shoulders of the last. This was the beginning of humanity becoming unstoppable. The journey of language was now connected to the journey of humanity itself. With every new place came new challenges and new words. The more humans explored, the more they needed to communicate. A tribe that shared knowledge could survive where others could not. Humanity was carrying something invisible, but more powerful than anything it owned. The human voice had become a tool, and humans were about to build with it. For the first time, humans could talk about things that did not exist yet. Language gave humans something no other animal had: shared imagination. Stories turned memories into something that could travel forever. The first storytellers created the foundation of human culture. But the greatest power of language was still waiting to be discovered. A shared idea could move through an entire group in seconds. Together, humans could attempt challenges no individual could survive. The human advantage was no longer strength, it was cooperation. The first words did not build an empire, they built a family. But as humans spread across the world, their languages began to change. One human family would eventually create thousands of voices. Every new environment created new problems and new solutions. Language changed because life changed. The first language had no dictionary, only humans creating meaning together. The invisible world inside the human mind was growing larger. Humans could now share not only what they saw, but what they imagined. This ability would eventually transform the entire planet. From whispers around a fire came the first steps toward civilization. The first human language was not perfect, but it was enough to change everything.
Subscribe if you love this video. Thanks for watching and join our community.